Hi guys, this is Ms.Hong. Today is May 19th, Tuesday. So you know what? Oh, why did I put 18 here? Today's May 19th, right? And guys, yesterday I got so many questions about homework. So before we start the lesson, I'm gonna go over the homework first. Alright? So your homework. But you know what? All of you who asked about the question, you got the right answer. So I think you are not used to this type of question, probably word, because like there's a lot of English in here and you're kind of uncomfortable with English, and this is like a word problem, but most of you got the right answer if you submit it. So but anyway, I just want to go over the homework. All right, so look at the question. So you have like here, bacteria, they can multiply at an alarming rate when each bacteria splits into two new cells, right? So 1 turn to 2, right? Doubling. So what? Our common ratio will be double, right? So that's the important information. Your common ratio will be 2. And with only one bacteria, right? So you started with 1, and every hour doubled. And how many bacteria will we have by the end of one day? So how many hours in a day? 24 hours. So this is kind of like key information, right? And A is, what is the pattern in the sequence? So it's like, and you know what? If you cannot get this like information only, then you can list them up. So you know you started from 1, right? And after 1 hour, it splits to 2 cells. So 2, and then each of these 2 gets 2 and 2, right? So it will be 4 and it will be 8. So after you write up or list off the number, then you will see the pattern more clearly. All right? So this is like geometric sequence. It goes like that. And our common ratios to what is the value of A1? That is 1. And I don't know why. Probably on the lesson video I used the recursive form. So probably that's why. But the question asks you explicit formula, right? So your explicit formula will be AN equals your initial right? AN equals your initial times common ratio to the n-1 power. This is your explicit form. Like a lot of you put the recursive form for that. So I want you to have explicit form. And my last question, how many bacteria will we have by the end of one day? So what? After 24 hours, right? So you just find A24, which is 1, 2 to the 24 minus 1. So 2 to the 23 powers. And as a number, let me see, 2 to the 23 power, then you get 8388608. So that's my answer. Okay? So most of you got the right answer, and some of you just got 2 to the 24. You didn't subtract it by 1. Then you will get 1/6 something, but that's because you didn't subtract it by 1. Alright, so just make sure this. And number two. So play starts with 128 participants, right? 128. And what? Each round, half the players are eliminated. So half 64, right? And half 32. So this is our pattern. So that's geometric sequence and getting half. So my comment, this is geometric sequence, and my common ratio is 1/2. And what is the value of A1? My A1 is 128, right? And then write explicit formula. So 128, 1 over 2, and minus 1. That's my explicit formula. And I saw some students got confused with it's each round, you know? So your initial value. Because our like lesson video and this homework, that's a little different. But this is, think about it, your first round. How many people are there? 128, right? 128 people. And after one round end, then you get 64. So 64 people will play on second round, right? So you can just use 128 for your initial value, alright? So 128, 1 over 2, 5 minus 1, like that. So that is 128 divided by 1 over 2 to the 4. So 128 times by 1 over 2 to the 4th power, then you get 8. So answer is 8. So if you get 4 for the answer, you didn't subtract 1, or you misunderstood your initial value. So please check, and if you have any question for this, you can text me, alright? Or leave the private comments. So that was the homework, guys. So a lot of you were confused a lot, but when I checked your work before I record this video, most of you got the right answer. So good for you guys. And today I'm gonna give you one more formula, and we will learn one more thing. So look at this one, guys. So today you already know sequence, right? So that we already know sequence, that is a list of numbers. So A1, A2, A3, A4, and blah blah blah, AN. That could keep going, right? And that could be, you could have some pattern between these two terms. You keep adding, we call it arithmetic sequence. We keep multiplying, we call that geometric sequence. Sometimes you have numbers but there's no pattern. That's fine, right? So we say all the list of numbers, we say that's the sequence, right? And today's word is series. So this is the thing we want to do today. So series, that is sum of the first n terms of the sequence. So look, your sequence is like that, right? If you add it up, you add all of them, like plus, 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 you add all of them. Then we call that Sn. S comes from like series, right? Series or sum. The sum is A1 plus A2 plus A3 up to AN. So that is Sn. Alright? So when we're talking about the sum as S sub n, then you always start with A1. Alright? Until this term. So for example, if I have S3, right? Then that is A1 plus A3 plus, A2 plus A3. So that means what? Sum up to third term from the initial term. Alright? So S10, then what? A1, from A1, always we started from A1 and until you get A10. You add up everything. Then we call that S sub 10. Alright? And there's the formula for the geometric series. So we are focusing on geometric series only. So geometric series means your sequence. Sequence is already what? A1, A2, those numbers, those sequence, they are geometric sequence. So this is geometric, and all we want to do is add up all these numbers. That's geometric series. Alright, so this terms will be geometric sequence, and you're getting the sum. Then that's the geometric series. And this is only for geometric series, not any other sequences or series. That's only for the geometric series, and that's the formula. So you need to memorize this one, and on the NJSLA test, they will give you the reference paper and you will have this formula. So you don't have to memorize it, but I recommend you memorize this one. Okay, so this is the formula, but most likely you will use a calculator for this question. So when you wanna use a calculator, if you type a n parentheses 1 minus r to the n divided by 1 minus r, then your calculator probably, if you don't put the parentheses, you will get different answers. So this is my tip. So when you calculate it on your calculator, type your a1 first, alright, and after that you press multiplication and open your parentheses. This is super important. Open your parentheses and put 1 minus r to the n power, close, and then you divide it again. And then put another parenthesis. If you don't put parentheses, then it will be what? a1 1 minus r to the n divided by 1 minus r. If you do that without parentheses, then your calculator will do a1 1 minus r to the n divided by 1 minus r. Calculator will calculate it like this. So don't forget your parentheses. Parentheses is super important. Okay? So don't forget your parentheses. So important. Okay? And if you're using TI-84, I highly recommend to you know that alpha y is equal to, then you can type the fraction like this, right? So once you make the fraction form, then you can just put 1 minus r to the n, 1 minus r. You can do that. But if you're using regular calculator, then you need to put parentheses, alright? Okay, so most likely I just want to apply the formula. That's it. So this is like, you're just using formula, so I will show you how to use the formula. Okay, so look at this practice. Find the S9 for the sequence below, right? So we want to get the sum. And my sequence, let's look at the sequence because we want to know A1 and R. We want A1 and R, right? So let's look at this. What's my A1, guys? A1, my initial, that is -1, right? And then what about my common ratio? How do you get 5? Your sign change, and look, negative, positive, right? When the sign changes, then our common ratio is negative value. And to get 5, you multiply it by -5. Or easily you can do this. 5 divided by -1. Second divided by first. Or third divided by second. When you do that, you can get your common ratio. Like this. So I got this one, and then we just want to plug the number into the formula, right? So my sum formula, that's, I'm just copying my sum formula. Wait, hold on. I'm not gonna copy this. Let's bring this one down. Magic, look. Okay. So I just brought this. And I'm gonna plug in my number. So I want to get S9, right? Sum up to 9. So we just have this S9. Instead of N, I'm gonna use 9. So this one will be 9 and 9, right? And my A1, which is -1. So -1, parentheses, 1 minus my R, that's -5. So you put -5 to the 9. Oops, sorry. Over 1 minus -5. Like this, right? So on my calculator, you just type -1, parentheses, 1 minus, another parentheses here, -5 to the 9th power, divided by 1 minus -5, like that. So when you calculate that one, I'm gonna use my cell phone to calculate that, just like you. So -1 times 1 guys, I'll be back because it's 14 minutes 45 seconds. Alright, so I'll be back on second video.